Jay Gabler, Duluth News Tribune arts and entertainment reporter, with another special episode of the DNT Minute featuring my column, Front Row Seat. This week I write about a new class being offered at the Duluth Playhouse. This one's not for kids, it's for their parents and all adults in the community. Even though he's taught theater for years at Hermantown High School, Ken Ahlberg found he still had a lot to learn about how a professional musical theater production comes together. He said, "I'm a musician, and so I got into theater directing the orchestra. When he's producing a full musical, though," he continued, "you have to do the lights, and you have to do the costumes, and you have to do the props, and you have to do the budgeting, and you have to do the publicity." Ahlberg appreciated the opportunity to study, quote, darn near every aspect of what it takes to put on a show through a new Duluth Playhouse class called Show Study. The inaugural series of show study sessions, offered to adult learners, followed the development of the Playhouse production of Into the Woods. Courtney Lane Self, who joined the Playhouse last fall as Director of Education, developed and taught the class. She said, "This class is based on a class at New York Theater Workshop in New York City, which is one of my favorite off-Broadway theater producing organizations. That company's casebook class, according to its website, designates one of its productions as a case study and hosts a class designed to provide theater lovers of all experience levels with a true insider's view of the life of a theater artist and the process of realizing a full professional production." Self said, "What I loved about taking that class was there were so many different kinds of people. There were people who had never done theater before and really hadn't even seen much theater before, all the way to people like myself who are already working in the industry as professionals." The 14 participants in the Duluth Playhouse Show Study class similarly hailed from across the community. Self said, "We had people from North Shore Bank. We had people from Essentia. Then we had some parents of students who've been taking classes, been in shows at Duluth Playhouse. Those parents included Tasha Ellis, whose 14-year-old son has been in quite a few of the classes there," she said. Ellis found that Show Study did lend insight into her son's experiences, but, she said, "I loved it beyond that as well." Ellis explained, "We actually had a guest speaker every night in the class, and it was somebody involved with Into the Woods. Not the people you see on stage. It was like the scenic director, the music person, or the lights person, and we got to sit with the director and choreographer and costume designers." Referencing the North Shore Theater, Ahlberg said, "Courtney brought us around and gave us a tour of the entire facility. She brought us up above what you think is the roof, but it's the ceiling of the performance space. There's a level above that where you can see the framework and the original ceiling of the space. We got to see some real VIP behind the scenes, behind locked doors sorts of things," said Self. "The tour, I think, was a real crowd favorite." On Saturday, class participants were invited to sit in on a tech rehearsal. That's the point in the rehearsal process when all the elements of a production finally come together in the space where audiences will see the show. "These are long, stressful, hard working days," said Self. "Unless you're in the industry, you do not get exposed to what that work looks like." Tuition also includes a ticket to the finished production. Ahlberg said it was cool to hear director Philip Fazio articulate the concept for this production of the Stephen Sondheim musical, which premiered on Broadway in 1987. Ahlberg helmed a Hermantown production in 2018. "The Duluth Playhouse production," said Ahlberg, "is seen to inhabit a theater that has been abandoned and nature has taken it over. It was just really neat to see that the story I'm so familiar with and I spent months working on can be told in a vastly different way." Ellis, talking about the process of putting on a professional show, said, "There's a lot more to it than I ever imagined. The stage manager probably had a 3-inch binder full of details down to every line of the play, what lights, what sound, where the actor was on the stage. It was mind-blowing how much information there is." Self said, "This class got to understand there's this one layer that the audience watches, the performance layer, and there's this whole other level of talking, communicating, cueing that's going on underneath that nobody hears. In the audience, that is." The next show study class will delve into the Playhouse production of The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. Regarding that play, Self said, "The original Broadway production was conceptually, design-wise, and direction-wise extremely specific. I'll be really interested to see our production of it as compared to what that original concept was." Both Ahlberg and Ellis had high praise for Self. Ellis said, "Courtney is just phenomenal, just a wonderful addition to that whole program." Ahlberg said, "Courtney is really top-notch." He praised the Playhouse's leadership team, including producing artistic director Fazio and executive director Wes Drummond, for their openness. Ahlberg said, "It's a professional theater that feels very community-based." Self, who moved from New York City to take the Duluth job, said she's enjoyed her first months here. She said, "I don't mind the cold, and I don't mind the dark. The lake is such a cool thing to exist next to." She also arrived at an inflection point in the history of the 109-year-old theater, which last year consolidated operations in Duluth's historic arts and theater district. Self said, "A thing I've found really rewarding is trying to figure out the balance between what has the Playhouse been and what people love about it, and thinking about how it can evolve in ways that continue to be even more exciting and really serve Duluth." Into the Woods opens Friday and runs through April 2nd. The next show study class runs from April 27th through June 1st. For more information, see duluthplayhouse.org. And that's this week's column. Next week, I will be on vacation, taking a cruise, in fact, my first ever, so that'll be the first thing I write about when I get back the following week. Have a great week. I'm Jay Gabler, Duluth News Tribune.